from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening, coming to you live from the National News Studio. Welcome to the news. My name is Clifford Richards.
And I'm Shine Ali. Let's have a look at the headlines for today.
The Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill passed in Parliament by majority of votes. The Asian Development Bank will grant $200 million to Sri Lanka. The President says that the program to use universities and vocational education for the development of the country will be implemented next year. State Defence Minister says that although the armed forces have been removed from the Mihintale sacred premises, the police team is there for security. A sum of 10 billion rupees has been allocated for the purchase of fertilizer for the Maha season. Israeli Prime Minister orders the Hamas to surrender.
On to those stories and others in detail, and your top story for tonight is the VAT Amendment Bill was passed in Parliament today with amendments by a majority of 45 votes.
Well, 100 votes received for the bill while 55 votes were against. And also, meanwhile, the finance draft bill was passed in Parliament, and that was without a vote and amendments.
The second reading of these two bills were scheduled to be held yesterday. However, the opposition members were not present in the House at the time of debate yesterday. Due to the lack of quorum, the debate was postponed for today by the Deputy Speaker. At the beginning of debate today, Leader of the House, Minister Susil Premajan, proposed that the second reading debate of the two bills should be conducted today.
Right. Now you are dividing now. So let's go for the vote.
At the relevant vote, 92 voted for the bills and 41 voted against them.
අද දින න්‍යාය පත්‍රයේ අංක 1 දරන යෝජනාව පක්ෂව ඡන්ද 92යි විපක්ෂව ඡන්ද 41යි වැලකී සිටි 1 ඡන්දයයි යෝජනාව වැඩි සංඛ්‍යෙන් සම්මතයි.
Parliamentarian Nimal Lansa said that it was the opposition that demanded a debate yesterday. However, the opposition evaded the debate. We have to save this country from this economic bankruptcy. We have only these 3 days more to pass the budget. The Asian Development Bank has also pledged money to Sri Lanka. The IMF will also grant its second installment soon. The World Bank may also provide money to us. Thereby, we will be able to decrease the electricity charges. Chief Government Whip Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that last Sunday was set aside for the VAT-related debate. A sum of about 10 million rupees is needed to run the Parliament for a single day. That is why the government agreed to have this debate on Sunday. We must act for the well-being of the country and the people. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the opposition as well to help in this matter. However, the opposition deliberately evaded the debate yesterday. After this vote, the third reading of the budget debate scheduled for today commenced as usual. Heads of the Ministries of Fisheries and Irrigation were taken up for debate today. After this committee-stage debate, the second reading of the VAT Amendment Bill and Finance Draft Bill commenced. State Minister Shahan Semasinghe said that the opposition made it to spend 10 million rupees of public money by evading this debate. Tomorrow will be a very important day for Sri Lanka as the IMF will consider to pay the second installment of $330 million. The opposition is attempting to create an uncertainty to sabotage this loan installment. On the other hand, the creditor nations have pledged to support the country's debt restructuring program. When the opposition acts in irresponsible manner, the international community and the creditor nations will have suspicion over Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process. The opposition is against the stabilization of the country's economy. The opposition doesn't want to provide concessions to the general public. The government does not want to increase taxes. However, the country has to follow strict discipline in its expenses. The government must increase the state income. Despite the difficulties faced by the general public, the government has to increase the primary surplus up to 250 billion rupees or 0.8% of the gross domestic production.
Divide.
Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene said that the third reading of the VAT Amendment Bill has been passed by a majority of 45 votes. It has received 100 votes while receiving 55 against.
එකතු කළාගේ මත වදුවය කිරීම සංශෝධන 50 කෙටුම්පත තුන්වන වර කියවීම පක්ෂව 100යි විපක්ෂව 55යි ඒ අනුව තුන්වන වර කියවීම වැඩි ඡන්ද 45කින් සම්මත.
And in the meantime, the Asian Development Bank has agreed to grant a loan of $200 million to Sri Lanka, and these funds are scheduled to be utilized to create a stable monetary system and for the financial reform program. The relevant agreement was signed at the Ministry of Finance today. Secretary to the Ministry K. Mahinda Sirivaratana signed on behalf of the government, while Director of the Residence Mission Takafumi Kadono signed it on behalf of the Asian Development Bank. This policy-based loan is to be given as a result of the discussions held between the Asian Development Bank and the Sri Lankan government. The Asian Development Bank has given a period of 25 years with a 5 years grace period to pay back the loan at an annual 2% interest rate. Under this loan facility, the ADB will support the financial reforms planned for creating a stable monetary system. The Ministry of Economic Stabilization and National Policies works as the agent to implement this program through the central bank and other relevant bodies. Under the schedule number 1, all pre-plans and actions have been completed successfully, and thereby the $200 million loan will be credited to the Treasury without delay. Moving on, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that a program focusing on utilizing both university education and vocational training for the country's development will commence next year.
He also says that emphasizing the need for a knowledgeable human resource to propel the nation forward and also assign the responsibility to the university and vocational training sectors in Sri Lanka. Well, the President highlighted the extended support from the private sector for a transformative shift in the vocational training education and the imminent introduction of laws to reorganize the entire education system in the country. Well, these remarks were made during President Ranil Wickremesinghe's presence at the 2023 convocation ceremony of the NSBM Green University. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that we aim to revolutionize the university education to ensure that every graduate secures employment. Currently, the admission of students to the government universities is restricted due to the logistical challenges. However, other nations have effectively addressed this issue, aligning with the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, which asserts the right of everyone to access for education. In line with this government's private and entities worldwide, we have established universities. As Sri Lanka, we are now prepared to undertake this task, he says. He further said that our goal is to significantly increase the number of universities in the country, potentially doubling or tripling the current count. Simultaneously, leveraging new technologies, giving students in Sri Lanka the opportunity to earn degrees from foreign universities without leaving the country. The President said that we envision Sri Lanka becoming a hub for universities. Additionally, we aspire to complete the task of imparting English proficiency to both school and university students by 2030. Furthermore, we seek to equip students in our country with knowledge of additional languages. In our efforts, we plan to establish vocational training colleges by merging existing vocational training institutes. To enhance employability, we're introducing job-oriented curricula for these courses. Encouragingly, the private sector has pledged support for these initiatives, and we anticipate implementing this program by the coming year. After that, it is our expectation to bring necessary laws to reorganize the entire education system in this country. Thus, it should be said that it is our aim to start a program of using university education and vocational training education for the development of the country from next year, as knowledge is needed to develop the country. A new education system should be created for that. He further said that we should act as a middle-income country. We have to decide whether we remain in this state forever or whether we will want to become a high-income economy. We all want to go on that journey, he says. So we leave it to the education to build the necessary human resources. As part of the ceremony, the President inaugurated a new stadium and awarded 6 students who demonstrated outstanding skills among 176 graduates. In a celebratory gesture, NSBM Green University Vice-Chancellor Professor E. Veerasinghe presented a collection of valuable books to the President. Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Nihal Ranasinghe, NSBM Green University Vice-Chancellor Professor E. Veerasinghe and Deputy Vice-Chancellor Professor Chaminda Ratnayaka, deans and academic staff and parents of graduate students participated in this event. Well, State Minister Pramitha Bandaru Thennakoon says that the withdrawal of the armed soldiers from the duty of the Mihintala sacred area will not pose any threat to the security of the area.
And in response to a query raised by the opposition leader in Parliament today, he said that although the army soldiers were removed, Sri Lanka police will grant required security for the Mihintala sacred area.
Members of the security forces have been deployed for the development work in the Mihintale sacred premises. However, Chief Incumbent Thera had issued a media release recently saying that conduct of 2 army officers is suspicious. The Thera had also stressed that there is a severe threat for his life. In response, the army said that these soldiers have been deployed for the security of the foreign tourists visiting the premises and for the security of the army construction sites. However, based on the statement of the Chief Incumbent Thera, the army has withdrawn over 250 soldiers of security forces temporarily from the premises. State Minister Pramitha Bandaru Thennakoon says that these 252 members of the security forces were not deployed for security but for the construction work. They have not posed any threat to the sacred premises. There were 103 Navy men and 48 Army soldiers and 100 members of the Civil Defence Force. There are 30 police officers in the sacred premises for the security. The police team have not been withdrawn, he says. Police media spokesman SSP Nihal Thaldu also expressed views regarding this matter at a press briefing held today. Well, he said that no decision has been taken to withdraw the police officers from the area. About 25 police sergeants and constables are still there for security. But Minister, moving on with more local stories, the 8th South China Sea Buddhist Shenzhen Roundtable discussion will be held in Sri Lanka tomorrow, and it will be held at the BMICH Colombo under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The title of the occasion this year is Walk Together in Harmony and Gather the Wisdom of the Silk Road. Venerable Master Yinshun Thera heads the roundtable discussion, while Gangarama Temple at Hunupitiya in Colombo hosts the event, which has been organized under the invitation of the chief incumbent of the Gangarama, the Venerable Galabada Gnanissara Thera. Over 400 representatives from 32 countries will take part in this discussion. A media briefing in this connection was held at the temple trees. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that this Buddhist conference was initiated 8 years ago by the Most Venerable Ichion Thera in China with the objective of enhancing international cooperation and world peace through Buddhist philosophic policies. The Sri Lankan government expresses its respect and gratitude to China and Incheon Mahanaka Thera for selecting Sri Lanka to hold the 8th session of this initiative. In Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka has maintained long-term relationships with China and India regarding Buddhism.
Judge Aditya Pattabandike today ordered the suspect Thelini Premali to be released from the allegations levelled against her of misappropriating a sum of 8 million rupees in deal related to a vehicle. The Attorney General has filed indictment against the respondent based on a complaint lodged by a businessman in Mathura area. The case was filed at the Colombo High Court. However, according to the manner the indictment filed, the courts decided that the case cannot be continued and ordered the respondent to be acquitted from the case.
Well, mushroom is a popular and also delicious and nutritious dish in Sri Lanka. Anyone can prepare mushrooms at home as a value-added produce. Growing mushrooms at household level may add another way of income generation to the country. Well, mushroom is a plant that belongs to the fungi family. The significant feature of the fungus is that they cannot be seen to the naked eye. However, the fungus-based mushroom is visible for the naked eye. In a fully grown mushroom, there are many essential nutritional components needed to the human body. In 100 grams of mushrooms, there are 89.2 grams of water, and it contains about 33 calories of strength. Mushrooms are very suitable for food that's for people with obesity. Therefore, it is a popular dish in countries like China, Japan and Korea. Mushroom is a food consumed by human beings since ancient times. Mushroom cultivation in Sri Lanka at commercial level commenced in 1985. It has become a popular way of income at present, and there is a high demand at local and international markets. Another significant feature of the mushroom cultivation is that it needs a very small space to grow. Agricultural Department provided required guidance and also planting materials free of charge for the persons who intend to start it as a self-employment. Many farmers in Polonnaru, Manampitiya and Magamtota areas grow mushrooms as a self-employment. However, they have faced many setbacks in their profession since the beginning of this year. Relevant authorities should focus attention to solve these problems, and the mushroom cultivation should be continued as an additional way of income for the people and also the country.
Moving on from mushroom to fertilizer, the government has allocated a sum of 10 billion rupees to purchase fertilizer for the Maha season this year. And out of the amount, 2.3 billion rupees have already been credited to the Agrarian Development Department. Commissioner General of the Agrarian Development Department, AHML, Abe Ratna, states that the money will then be credited to the accounts of the relevant farmers. These facts were revealed at a discussion held with Minister Mahinda Amaravira regarding the fertilizer subsidy. Accordingly, the government is scheduled to provide 5 billion rupees to the farmers within this year. The rest will be issued to farmers in January next year. 800,000 hectares of lands are to be cultivated with paddy in this Maha season. About 1.2 farmers have been registered under the fertilizer subsidy system in this Maha season. At the discussion, Minister Mahinda Amaravira instructed the top officials to take stern action against any officer who would think their duty is providing money to the farmers for the fertilizer subsidy.
Inclement weather still in the news. The Met Department says that many areas in the island will experience showers or thunder showers in the afternoon. Some areas will have fairly heavy rains exceeding 75 millimeters, they say. Well, intermittent rains may occur in the northern, northwestern, Uva and eastern provinces and in the Nuwara and Hambantota districts. The Met Department forecasts early heavy rains over 75 millimeters in the central Sabaragamu, Uva and western provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. Rains up to 50 millimeters may occur in some places of the Batticaloa and Ampara districts. Thunder showers may be accompanied with temporary localized winds, and also the Met Department informs the public to take precautionary measures to prevent dangers of lightning during the rains.
And moving on to more local news items in brief. The new two-story building of the Dankotua MOH office was vested with the public yesterday. Governor of the Northern Western Province, Lakshman Yapa Bevardhana, and the State Minister Arundika Fernando graced this occasion as chief guests. 67,000 families in 43 Gram Nildari divisions will have services within this new building. A sum of 90.7 million rupees under the World Bank aid has been spent. Police conducted a raid at Sedawatta area under the new Kalani flyover bridge and arrested a suspect with 8 grams of heroin and a sum of nearly 10 million rupees. The police also found several fake identity cards and official emblems of security forces. A woman was also taken into custody with this person, and they are said to be residents of Vallampetiya area. Legal actions were taken yesterday against 2 pavement vendors who sold goods in the Batticaloa municipality area without proper permissions and health licenses. Public health officers of the area captured the suspects.
Well, that's news at home. We take a short break and we'll be back with international stories.
Sunrise and trees bring the taste of Christmas to your home with Prima family. We're wishing you a joyful Christmas from Prima.
Welcome back to the news, and we are moving on to news overseas. Well, Hamas has in fact threatened that not a single hostage will be allowed to leave Gaza alive unless its demands for a prisoner exchange are met.
And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says dozens of Hamas militants have surrendered, and he described the situation as the beginning of the end for the terrorist group. Israel has ordered civilians to flee the center of Khan Yunis, with an official saying he doesn't want civilians caught up in the difficult fighting there. Khan Yunis is the second largest city in the Gaza Strip, and over the weekend Israeli tanks started to move from the east after they have captured most of the 4 main villages. Now the tanks are advancing very slowly and approaching the eastern part of Khan Yunis. The area is very complicated because there are huge buildings, shops and a lot of people. Now the tanks are advancing very slowly and approaching the eastern part of Khan Yunis. The area is very complicated because there are huge buildings, and there are still hundreds of thousands of people in Khan Yunis, and Palestinian health officials say dozens of people have been killed in the past 24 hours as the Israeli military has bombed targets in Gaza City in the north and the southern cities of Raf and Khan Yunis. Key mediator Qatar says the chances of a new ceasefire between Israel and Hamas are narrowing, but has vowed to keep up the pressure.
Wishing you a joyful Christmas from Prima.
Sports news for today, we have CRS and FC won the match against police team of the Interclub League Rugby Tournament, and the match was played at the police grounds in Colombo.
Police in front as 6-0 points at the end of the first half of the match. However, the police team couldn't score a single point during the second half. CR scored 19 points during the second half. Accordingly, they win the match by 90-6.
And in another match of the tournament, the Kandy team defeated the Army team in a match played in Panagoda Army Camp grounds. And at the end of the first half, both teams have scored 14 points each. However, during the second half, the Kandy team gathered another 19 points. And accordingly, the Kandy team won the match at 33-14 points. And in another match played at the Havelock ground, CHNFC team defeated the Havelock team. And at the end of the first half, CHNFC team in the lead with 7 points. In the second half, they scored 13 points more. Havelock team also gathered 13 runs in the second half. Accordingly, CHNFC team won the match by 20-13 points.
Wishing you a joyful Christmas from Prima.
Well, amidst all that rain, we had super rugby action. And on that note, we do end the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs together with Hesha. This is Clifford, wishing you a pleasant night.